flag, one lap to go, and Kenny Irwin is really going to take advantage of the situation tonight and perhaps take that point lead back from Stevie Reeves.
He's going to be a very, very happy young man. He did a great job qualifying here tonight. He did a great job running the race, and he's had a little tough luck this year. Even though he's up in the points, he hasn't had the victories that he really thought he should have.
We've seen you pay your dues in the midgets and now move up. You're running the sprints, you're running the Silver Crown division. How is that helping you to mature as a driver?
I tell you what, it helps out quite a bit. Dave Calderwood out of California sent back a couple sprint cars for us to race, and you know, going to the high horsepower sprint cars and then coming back to this, it helps you out tremendously. In fact, we're racing the sprint cars here tomorrow.
Yeah. It's going to be a big weekend for you. What's the long-term plan? Where do you want to go with this career?
Born on August 5, 1969, Kenny Irwin Jr. was the third of 4 children and only son to parents Kenny Sr. and Reva. The Irwin family lived in Indianapolis, not far from the Speedway, but were far from regulars in the grandstands. Most often, the family worked at Irwin Lawn and Garden, a lawnmower business for which Kenny Sr. had worked since he was a teenager. Their employees were often frustrated by young Kenny Jr., who, as one described later, quote, was always getting into everything. Father and son first made it to the Brickyard after Kenny Sr. bought a couple tickets from a scalper. The two spent Saturday night in the back of the family's pickup truck, then entered the track the next morning and watched the race from turn 2. By 1978, when youngest sister Corey was born, older sisters Kim and Kelly had gone to college, but Kenny Jr. told his father he wanted to race. Kenny Sr. was only too happy to help. He too wanted to race when he was a kid, but couldn't afford to. Kenny Jr. called him his master mechanic as he built his first race car when Kenny Jr. was 6. By then, Kenny Sr. had sold Irwin Lawn and Garden and opened K&R Tool Rental, where he made much better money by renting a piece of equipment until it was paid for than selling it. Soon, an 8-year-old Kenny Jr. could be found pressure cleaning equipment at the wash rack, each sale helping his developing racing career. Kenny's parents didn't like the idea of their son racing motorcycles. So against it was Mother Reva that in 1980, when Kenny Sr. took his son to test race his Yamaha motorcycle on a local course, he didn't tell her. As it turned out, Kenny Jr. didn't like it either. After just one lap, he pulled off the track and parked. He would focus on four-wheel racing for the rest of his career. As he moved on to quarter midgets, Kenny Irwin Jr. continued to show both speed and a fascination with cars. When Kenny was 13, said Sr., he jokingly said he would drive our stick-shift pickup truck about 150 yards down our driveway to deposit some trash. I told him, go ahead. He was surprised, but after fiddling with it for some 10 to 15 minutes, he got it down to the trash pile and back without any trouble. Since then, he's been driving everything that runs. In 1986, the Irwins finished preparing a Dodge Shelby Charger, which they brought to Road America for Kenny Jr.'s first start in IMSA. His mother told him to leave his driver's license at home so he wouldn't get carded. At the time, Kenny Jr. was just 16, and IMSA required drivers be 18. This made for a tricky weekend, where officials wouldn't let him re-enter the pits once he'd left until his father came over to clear things up. Fellow racer Dorsey Schrader was also skeptical. In the race, young Irwin started 13th and finished 12th. The Irwins also brought the car south to Charlotte, where their inexperience caught the attention of longtime NASCAR crew chief David Ift. At that point, Ift had scored 10 Winston Cup wins with the likes of Darrell Waltrip, Buddy Baker, Benny Parsons, and Cale Yarborough. Dave Ift came over and sort of tutored us along the way, said Senior. Kenny finished 10th in that race out of the 30 cars that started. Ift must have liked what he saw, as by 1989 he and the Irwins were neighbors. Kenny Sr. spent $500,000 to build a race shop next to Ift's in 5 Points, South Carolina. After Kenny Sr. prepared his brother to take over his business in Indianapolis, the Irwins moved into a condo 11 miles from the shop at Lake Wylie, where they owned a boat and planned to build a house. Oldest sister Kim became the race team's general manager. At 5 Points, the Irwins worked on their first factory-built race car. A year earlier, shortly after Kenny Jr. graduated from Lawrence North High School, father and son traveled to Jacksonville, Florida, where they bought an IMSA Buick Somerset GTO from road racer Tom Riggins. Kenny Sr. didn't have enough money at first and had to sell another piece of equipment back in Indianapolis to complete the sale. In 1990, Kenny Jr. raced the car in the IMSA Exxon Supreme Series, where he won poles in 2 of his 4 starts, including at Heartland Park, Topeka in May, which he won. But the Irwins always dreamed of racing in Indianapolis, and the allure of open-wheel racing never left the young driver. That was a neat type of racing, Irwin said of his time racing the Buick, but nothing compares with the open-wheel racing. Nothing. In December 1990, the Irwins were back in Beech Grove, Indiana, where they now set to work on a Beast chassis with Pontiac engine to compete in the USAC All-American Midget Series. Running the number 7K, Kenny Jr. made his first start at the Charlotte Coliseum. He failed to finish, but loved the aggressive style of racing. He returned in 1991 to make 10 starts, where he earned his first top 5 finish at his home track at Indianapolis Raceway Park, won Rookie of the Year, and picked up sponsorship from Wins Oil. It didn't take long for him to find victory lane. On April 5, 1992, in the season-opening Rich Vogler Classic at Winchester, Irwin won in only his 11th career start. He remained the point leader through the summer when the series returned home to IRP.
Flew into Indianapolis after about 3 hours sleep.
Oh!
The race got rained out. Look at this. There's the battle for the lead down the backstretch.
Man, oh man, did you see him? He got a bite coming off of 2. Kenny Irwin must be pushing, coming off of 2, and that's where Bliss is really gaining off him, coming off that second corner. He's really going to give him a shot right here, Gary. Watch him going through this corner, see if he can do it again. No, he's too far back.
White flag lap. This is it. Second corner. They negotiate the back straightaway, head down into 13-degree banking in turn 3, and it looks like the youngster is going to hang on and beat the veteran from Milwaukee, Oregon. Here comes the checkered flag, and it is Kenny Irwin Jr. And there's a look at the crew, his dad, and a happy bunch there as Kenny finally finds victory lane.
That year, team owner David Calderwood was so intrigued by Irwin that he sent a transporter from California to Indiana containing 2 Silver Crown cars, 2 sprint cars, and 2 midget cars to race. Irwin worked on these cars during the day, but at night and at the track was helped by 3 longtime friends on an all-volunteer crew, Todd Rays and brothers John and Bob Carrico. This friendship would continue for the rest of Irwin's career, the group meeting at least once every week. Already, Irwin was considering a career in NASCAR. In fact, between his USAC races, he worked for Rusty Wallace's Busch Series team as a general mechanic for brother Kenny Wallace. There, young Irwin became practiced at building engines, at fabrication, welding, and painting. In 1993, Irwin won 3 more times and finished runner-up to Stevie Reeves in the championship.
This is going to be it. Look at Kenny Irwin. A clear shot around the outside. Clear shot around the outside. Oops, he got shut off right there.
Oh, and he slices down across the nose of Mixter to the inside of Mike Hurst in that red number 91 car. And now Kenny Irwin has the lead. Pulls up behind Jack Brennan, and look at Kenny's dad.
Kenny Irwin made a good guess, and it worked out just perfectly.
Yes, is right. Exactly right.
Yeah, that's what you do. You can only guess. You didn't follow those guys that long. They didn't know exactly where they were going to go. He had to make an instant guess, and he guessed right.
And here comes the checkered flag. There's Dad. He's running as fast the other direction.
Look at that. He said, come on,
Look at that. And he takes the victory. Look at Dad jumping up and down doing the calisthenics. There's the crew. And a happy youngster, Kenny Irwin, takes the victory. Takes $8,000 more, the entire family right there. There will be a big celebration this evening.
Let me ask Kenny Sr. We saw about as much of you on TV as we did of the kid. You were pretty excited there. You were driving the thing for him, weren't you?
I felt like I was in it every lap with him. I mean, I just couldn't believe the job he done. He done a super job tonight.
A terrific bit of driving. We congratulate you. You kept the cool head. You got the big money. What happens next?
I don't know. I just hopefully, Win stays with us next year, and we'll have to see what happens. Win's put up a lot of money this year in the USAC Copenhagen School Series, and we were lucky enough to bring it home tonight.
Irwin also made his debut in the USAC Sprint Car National Championship, again winning Rookie of the Year, then branched out into the USAC Silver Crown Series, where he was again the top rookie in 1994. That year saw him win his first 2 races in both sprints and Silver Crown, followed by another 4 sprint car wins in '95.
Yeah, we just got our first sprint car win last weekend at Salem, and that was a really neat deal. I had a lot of fun.
That's a pretty good track to drive on, Don Gittlefinger's track down there.
That's right, and it is a nice track, very nice facility.
On August 20th, 1995, Irwin arrived at the Salem Speedway as the odds-on favorite to win the Joe James Pat O'Connor Memorial Sprint Car Classic. He sought not only his 4th win at the track in the last 5 years, but an unprecedented first in motorsports. The day before, at the Illinois State Fairgrounds, Irwin had swept both the Midget and Silver Crown races, the latter after starting a record 28th on the grid. If he won this sprint car race, he would become the first driver in USAC history to win in all 3 divisions on the same weekend. As the capacity crowd watched 18 cars take the green on a newly repaved track, Irwin started 6th and climbed to 2nd. 1/3 of a lap ahead was his greatest rival, a fellow Hoosier named Tony Stewart. Irwin was close, just a half car length behind Stewart, but was denied his run at history. When I saw the nose of Irwin's car for the first time, I thought, "Oh, where did he come from?" said Stewart. "He got totally beside me a couple of times, and he might have had a wheel on me once in turn 3, but I just had to keep plugging away. There was no saving anything. I think I drove sideways the entire last lap." Stewart's win, one of 7 he earned that year in sprint cars, carried him to the season championship. This was the year that he became the first driver in USAC history to sweep all 3 titles in the same season, the Triple Crown. This triumph propelled Stewart into the newly formed Indy Racing League, where he'd make his first run at the Indianapolis 500, and NASCAR, where he'd compete against fellow USAC graduate Stevie Reeves in the Busch Series. Among the USAC rides left open by these drivers was that owned by Steve Lewis, who fielded Stewart's championship ride in midgets. Lewis's team boasted a winning history with not only Stewart and Reeves, but the likes of Stan Fox, Chuck Gurney, Paige Jones, and Mike Bliss. The team promised to run even better in 1996, not only with chassis builder Bob East, engine builder Ed Pink, and crew chief Kelly Drake, but also new backing from the Ford Motor Company. Lewis hired Irwin, who only then stopped working at K&R Tool Rental. The young driver recognized the pressure he was under and embraced it. "I want it to be, if this ride fails, it's because of Kenny Irwin," the driver said. "And really, that's the way this is going to be. It's in my shoes to get the job done." He continued, "As long as I have the opportunity, not winning will be a big disappointment. Tony Stewart taught me a lesson. A championship shows dedication, and owners in different series look for that." Irwin arrived in Phoenix and promptly won the pole for the USAC midget race, then outside pole in Silver Crown alongside Jimmy Sills. He won the season's 5th race in Richmond, then won again 10 races later at Huset Speedway in South Dakota. But Stewart continued to dabble in USAC midgets as Irwin's part-time teammate, leading to intense battles between the two.
Last year, I wouldn't have wanted to stand between these 2 guys on a few occasions, but now they're best friends, they're teammates, and from the look of what we've seen here tonight, you guys are ready to go out and put on a heck of a show. He hung back, got on the throttle real early, almost pulled out the pass, but look at Stewart, he's sideways, inside his teammate, almost got together with him.
Oh man, what a move by Tony Stewart. He didn't gain anything by it. In fact, he may have heated up the tires, but he maintained 2nd position. So now it is Irwin, Stewart, and Kalina, all 3 right together. They leave Tracy Hines a little bit behind them, and Kalina now looks to the outside of Tony Stewart.
At Terre Haute on September 4th, Stewart led 35 laps, but once again, Irwin was tracking him down.
Oh, and look at this. Stewart got a little bit of a bobble up there, and Kenny Irwin is right on his bumper.
Now he's going to go to the bottom and try the old slide.
Oh, my God.
believe it, they have taken each other out of the 100.
Oh my gosh, Kenny Irwin tried the slide job. Tony Stewart tried to pull down under him and misjudged it and ran over his left rear wheel.
As we get set to go back to green, they were side by side. I don't read sign language, but there was some conversation going on.
Well, Tony, I just kept gaining on him, and you know, it's just a bad deal. The two Beast cars were the fastest cars out there tonight, and I slid up, and he was there. I don't know. You know, I guess it's. I don't know. I thought that, you know, when I slid up, he might be able to get back around me, or what the deal was. It's just a bad deal, and I'm sorry for Bob, and I'm sorry for Tony, but I don't know.
What'd you guys say? You got out of the car, walked over to him, and you guys had a little private conversation. You want to share any of that with us, or is that none of our business?
I just told him, you know, what I thought I was doing, and he, you know, he thought that was the racing deal. So that's what we said.
The result was Irwin's worst finish of the season, one which nearly cost him his ride. But this turned out to be a mere bump in the road on the way to the championship. Irwin won the 1996 USAC Midget title by 159 points over Tracy Hines, the biggest margin the series had seen since Rich Vogler's dominant run in 1988. Prior to the start of the 96 season, Irwin traveled to Orlando, where Stewart would finish runner-up in the inaugural IRL race at the Walt Disney Speedway. As controversial as the open-wheel split had been, Irwin approved of what Tony George was trying to do, feeling he was the kind of driver George was trying to help break into the series. And so, while touring what some called the Brickyard, Irwin spoke to car owners about driving for them, eyeing a chance at attempting the Indianapolis 500. By March, Irwin seemed close to a deal to run the IRL race at Phoenix, where he'd turned countless laps in USAC. He'd also received 3 offers to compete in the Indy 500, but these were with teams with old and uncompetitive cars. Irwin chose to turn them all down. "I didn't feel like I had the right opportunity to be over there," said Irwin. "Nobody wanted to be over there more than me, but I wasn't going to go over there and just be there. I wanted to have a good team." Irwin predicted it would take another 3 to 4 years for Tony George's vision for the IRL to truly take hold, and just as long for him to earn a top ride. In the meantime, he'd have to make other plans. For direction, he looked to the path set by Jeff Gordon. It was Gordon who had opened the door for drivers making the jump from USAC into NASCAR, particularly much younger drivers such as himself. But now there he was, the 1990 USAC National Midget Series champion, already a winner of 9 cup races and counting, including the inaugural Brickyard 400. And at just 23 years old, Gordon was now a Winston Cup champion. This may not have been the case were it not for one critical decision. Gordon first drove for Ford, honing his skills at Bill Davis Racing in the Busch Series. But when Rick Hendrick came calling, Gordon made the jump to Chevrolet. And as Gordon enjoyed near-instant success, Ford was left looking for their next champion. They soon found Irwin. By the time Irwin won the Midget Championship in 1996, he'd started to ease back into stock car racing for the first time since his days in Trans Am. On August 5, 1994, the day before the inaugural Brickyard 400, he attempted to make his first Busch Series start at IRP, but failed to qualify. He returned to the track on May 20th, 1995, where he made his first of 8 starts in the American Speed Association, or ASA. With 5 laps to go in the season's penultimate race at Toledo, Irwin restarted second behind Bryan Reffner.
Bryan Reffner leads over Kenny Irwin Jr. and Mike Miller. That's the podium spots right now, with Brad Loney trying to challenge to get up there on the steps as well.
And Irwin didn't get a particularly good start. Now he closes right in behind car number 5, Bryan Reffner. And Mike Miller again could play the spoiler, as he did with Mike Eddy. If he puts the pressure too hard on Irwin, Irwin can't even worry about Bryan Reffner.
Well, it looked like Irwin a little loose coming off of 4 here. Reffner just kind of pedaling along in the front. It really doesn't matter much what Bryan Reffner does in terms of the championship. If the race ended right now, no matter what position he was in and on the lead lap, it would still not endanger his chances much because his closest rival, Mike Eddy, went out. Now Irwin has moved up the racetrack and is slowing dramatically. His car is all over the place, gets into Sauter. Now Irwin out of the way, Mike Miller into second spot. That was extremely weird. He must have cut a tire. He's into everybody.
everybody out there. He cannot control the race car.
Mike Miller is second. Brad Loney is third. 2 turns to go. It's going to be Bryan Reffner trying to control his own fate in a championship. The double checkered flags, and he'll win it by half a car length over Mike Miller.
Irwin came home 8th, and the next year improved with a 7th at the Milwaukee Mile. Then on April 21st, 1996, the same day he ran USAC's Desert Star Classic, Irwin made his debut in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Phoenix. Irwin landed a one-off ride with team owner Mike Mittler, driving a similar number 26 Ford to the one that 4 years later would be driven by Tony Roper. Irwin qualified 32nd, but his day ended early when the engine let go. Finishing third that day at Phoenix was Butch Miller, who arrived in the Truck Series with 2 Busch Series wins and 6 part-time seasons in Winston Cup. For the inaugural Truck Series season in '95, Miller signed with Liberty Racing, named for the Liberty Auto Group owned by Jim Herrick. Herrick co-owned the number 98 Ray Bestis Ford with a recently retired NBA star and longtime NASCAR fan, Brad Daugherty.
Brad, this isn't your first venture in racing. You started in Busch Grand National Racing with Robert Presley. Are you in this for the long haul?
Yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. We have a tremendous young team here, and we're excited about being in the Truck Series. We're going to run as many races as we can, Busch Grand National-wise, but we're here in the Truck Series to stay.
Together, driver and team scored 9 top 10 finishes in the first 10 Truck Series races ever run, including 7 consecutive top 5s. After that streak ended in Milwaukee, Miller qualified 4th at the tiny Colorado National Speedway and was leading in the final laps.
White flag is out, and here are the leaders going in. They are coming up on some traffic. The T.J. Clark truck there with a lot of smoke coming from it. Butch goes inside it. Here comes
Skinner
from the inside.
Here's Skinner down on the inside, charging for the finish. He puts the fender right in the door of Butch Miller. Here they come out of 4, side by side, to the line. I think you can give it to Miller.
I think it's Miller.
I think it's Miller by 2 inches as Skinner waited the time and tried to pace himself for a perfect shot. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in Super Truck history, throwing her in a big 180. How about it for Michigan's Butch Miller?
Those guys stuck behind us. You know, they took an old short tracker and said, let's go with a Winston Cup type chassis and let's go racing. And man, I can't thank those guys enough. Thanks for coming along.
Miller won the battle, but not the war, as Skinner hoisted the first series championship with Miller taking 4th. Now 16 races into the 1996 season, Miller was 7th in points. For the 17th race in Richmond, Herrick and Daugherty entered a second truck, the number 62, and with it gave Irwin a run at his second start in the series. Lee Morse of Ford Special Vehicle Operations told Irwin, quote, "Kenny, there is a time in everyone's career when they are given a shot. This is your shot." But it nearly didn't happen. Irwin missed his flight to Richmond, then reluctantly bought a one-way ticket to another flight that was further delayed by weather. These delays kept Irwin from competing in opening practice. Working with only a partial crew, Irwin made it on track in time for happy hour, where he ranked 5th. And while Miller qualified 12th, Irwin, the last truck on track, won the pole.
Well, Kenny Irwin Jr. was very last to qualify. Number 40 in the list, only 36 made the show, and you stood it on its ear just under 120 miles an hour, and you took the pole.
You know, I can't even hardly believe it myself, but, you know, the Ray Bestis guys, they did a great job. The Ford motor run good, and, you know, I just drove it around there. I don't want to say it was easy. They just gave me a good truck to run.
Now, this is a one-race deal, and obviously Ford helped set this up. They've got to be real happy right now.
Yeah, Lee Morris, SVO, set it up with Jim Herrick, and we did a test session with them a couple months ago, and so they decided that we'd run one race, and they picked this one here. So hopefully we got off to a good start, and if we can just run up front all night and bring it home, that'd be good for me.
Because here comes the green flag. We're racing at Richmond. And Kenny Irwin gets a terrible, terrible start. He's lost 3 spots already down in turn 1. Kenny Irwin Jr. comes out of the USAC open wheel ranks, set this place on its ear in qualifying, but as you can see, he did not get much of a start.
When rain cut the race 76 laps short, Miller finished 7th. Irwin finished 5th. On September 28th, in the last Truck Series race at North Wilkesboro until 2023, Miller finished 3rd and moved to 4th in points, still 568 markers out of the lead. But by the next race at Sears Point, Miller was out of the ride. And in the following race at Mesa Marin on October 13th, Irwin took the wheel and finished in 15th. Irwin had just signed a multi-year contract with the Ford Motor Company to compete in the Truck Series and would run Liberty's truck full-time in 1997. According to his new crew chief, Gary Showalter, Irwin was, quote, a real good crew guy. He spent a lot of time with them. He was a team player, and that really made him a great racer. Irwin's second start for Liberty came in his return to Phoenix in October, where he was running 5th in the closing laps until contact from Rick Johnson cut down his left front tire. Irwin returned to the race only to be wrecked when he crossed the nose of another truck in turn 1 with 22 laps to go. At a time where it was easier for fans to get into the garage area, particularly the trucks, which were parked outside the main paddock, a fan named Eric approached the damaged Ray Bestis Ford.
So after the race, after the truck race, I was walking towards the trucks and they were all piling in line going into their area. And I see the 98 and Ray Bestis' truck, and I'm all like, oh, he got in an accident. The front end was a little crunched up. And I'm thinking, it's Butch Miller. And so I'm standing there watching, and this skinny kid climbs out of the car, and I'm all, who the heck is that? And, you know, curly hair, and, you know, he gets out, and he goes into the hauler and sees two people. One of them looks like him, and I'm all like, that's got to be Mom and Dad. And I look at I go, who is this guy? And I look at the door at the head of the roof, and it says Kenny Irwin. And I'm all, who the hell's Kenny Irwin? So I'm looking at it, and I'm all like, oh, cool. And so I walked up to one of the crew members, and I said, hey, can I have a piece of that truck? And he just grabbed the headlight and ripped it off and said, here you go.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm all, okay, cool. So I waited. Kenny came out, and I asked him to sign it for me. I still got it. And
oh, good.
And he signed it for me, and he was really – I got this vibe off of him. And usually I'm pretty good with people, and something kept bugging me. I kept looking at him, and then I was walking away, and I kept turning around and looking back at him. I kept turning around, and I'm thinking, did I just meet a nice, cool person? I mean, there's something about him that he's not arrogant. He wasn't a jerk. So I kept saying there's something special about this guy. It's kind of weird. And I don't get that feeling too often. I've only gotten that feeling twice in my life. And I'm all like, there's something, okay. And then so I started following Kenny. And, of course, became a big fan. I met him every year. And like I said, I went to all 3 races, Sears Point, Fontana, and there. I'll tell you a little story about it. But I was able to meet him.
Sure.
Every time. And every time he was cool. And he started to, like, recognize me, and he'd be like, hey, Phoenix.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
Yeah, he's because he didn't know my name. He's all, I see you every year in Phoenix. And I go, I'm just a big fan of yours, dude. I'm stalking you. And he's like, yeah, well, thanks. And I'm like, so, yeah, it was a great year.
In 1997, Irwin finished 7th in the Truck Series season opener at Disney World. He took 14th in Tucson, then qualified 5th for the 3rd round of the year at Homestead. Just hours before Homestead would be first reconfigured into a true oval, Irwin remained within shouting distance of the leaders nearly the entire day.
You know, Kenny Irwin has just been on a tear today. That truck is really good. That Ray Bestis truck has been right up front for the whole race. And you can see right now he's putting a tremendous amount of pressure on Sprague. He's moving around. You see Sprague looking in the mirror kind of figuring, where is this guy going to try me? Because he's certainly fast enough.
Irwin in second place, started 5th. He's had a great ride so far.
With 53 to go, this put him exactly where he needed to be.
Bliss to the inside. He has the favored line in the corner. What'll happen? Ooh, he washes up and he gets Sprague and lets him get straightened up.
Well, that's as close close to a record.
Looking inside.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Irwin damaged the left front fender during the incident, allowing Sprague to retake the lead. But after repairs and some bits of tape, Irwin positioned himself perfectly for a lead battle between Mike Skinner and Jay Sauter.
Jay Sauter fight back on the inside to try to take the lead as they come off turn 4.
Well, he's got company. They're 3 abreast. Kenny Irwin.
Little contact there. Jack Sprague got inside of Sauter just a little bit as they started off the corner. Sprague's moved into third and now trying to take over second.
And Sauter, who had a shot at the lead in turn 4, is in 4th place in turn 1.
But Sprague wasn't done with Irwin yet.
See what he can do with it. Oh! Jack the tap.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you what, that was almost it there.
Well, that's one way to get the lead. Boy, Sprague got in the back of Kenny Irwin. It was all Irwin could do to hang on to that truck. Well, now Skinner in 3rd, Irwin in 2nd, Bound in 4th, Mike Bliss in 5th. This isn't over, folks. Not yet. Through turn 4, Irwin trying to close back in for a run at Jack Sprague.
You can see just back beyond here, Mike Bliss is making a move right now, trying to take over a spot for 4th spot there.
There's Skinner, 93 in 3rd. Ooh, look at Irwin's caught him, and he drives to the inside. Kenny Irwin gets under Jack Sprague. They are 2 by 2. Who will Skinner help down the backstretch? He goes with Irwin. He goes with Sprague. Here we go to turn 3, and they're side by side for the lead. And it's Irwin to turn 4.
Here comes Sprague back on the outside, drives it deep in there, crosses up just a little bit. There was just little contact there as they started off 4.
2 to go. This time Skinner goes with Irwin to the inside. Irwin ekes out a little lead coming out of 1.
Chuck Bounds looking under Mike Bliss as they start down in the corner. Here comes Skinner on the inside.
Here comes Bliss on the inside of Skinner. Here comes Bound on the inside of Bliss. And guess who's walking away from them all? Kenny Irwin.
Kenny Irwin driving away, but look at this fight for second.
And Jack Sprague ends up back in 5th. Off turn 4. White flag in the wind. Irwin in the lead.
Irwin in the lead. Mike Bliss is really fighting back in 2nd spot there. You see Bound there in 3rd, and the 99 truck really making a nice move to the front. 3 Fords leading the Chevrolets.
And still Skinner and Sprague are going at it. Look at this for 4th place. A lot of white paint on that green truck and green paint on that white truck, buddy.
Skinner's going to run out of laps, but not out of brazier.
Last time around, Mike Bliss may catch Kenny Irwin. They're just about a truck length apart. There's the race for 4th. Off turn 4. Checkered flag. Kenny Irwin Jr. by 2 truck lengths will win it.
Irwin led just 13 laps and won in only his 8th career start.
Better than winning like an NBA championship.
It's a great win for the Liberty Racing team. Ray Bestis, Ford credit. Ford was really toting the mail today. Kenny Irwin Jr. did a tremendous job, and we're tickled to death.
Jack Sprague tapped him, got by him, but that young driver kept his cool and composure. What a great move to come back by.
Yeah, well, Jack Sprague's a tremendous racer, and Kenny really held his composure going through the corner. Made a great move to get back into the league, and we're tickled to death.
I'm telling you, I don't actually believe it. I really don't. I don't know. There's so many people that got me here. I don't know. It's just the coolest thing I've ever done. I mean, Ray Bestis and Ford Credit, they're with me on the truck, and I have to have the best team because I know that coming in here, we struggled real bad the first 2 races with setups, and they're just figuring out how I drive, and I love it.
Tell us about the battle in those closing laps. There was a lot of rubbing going on.
Oh my gosh! And on the restart, we had such a bad push, and so I tried to block the 24 truck, and he hit me in the butt, and I mean it didn't hurt us, I don't think, and I think it just slowed all them down a little, and we just kept going. It's I don't know. I just don't know what to say.
Tell me about the Miami race. Tell me about the story of that day, what it took to win that race. It was actually pretty spectacular from what I understand.
I mean, it was just, there's some races that are just fun to be in, and this was one of them. I mean, even if I wouldn't have won, it was just a fun race to be a part of. And
looking at it here.
I never felt like that I was going to win the race. I really didn't. I mean, every time that I didn't lead but probably 10, 15 laps of the whole race, but we were always around there, and it's like they say, you got to be there at the end to win. And I was totally exhausted after that race. That was the longest, up to that point, the longest race I'd ever been in, and I was done. If I would have finished second, I probably would have stayed in the truck for an hour just because I just wanted to sit there.
Yeah. At age 27, Irwin set a record for the youngest Truck Series winner that wouldn't be beaten until July 1st, 2000, when Kurt Busch won at Milwaukee at age 21. 6 races later, after 2 more top 5 finishes, came Texas. The inaugural Cup race at the track in April saw a multi-car pileup on the first lap, stirring concerns of a similar mess with the trucks. In response, NASCAR mandated aerodynamic changes to make the trucks more stable and forced the entire field to go through a mandatory safety meeting led by Jimmy Hensley. These measures paid off, as just 2 accidents slowed the action. The race was settled between Irwin and Mike Bliss, another of his toughest competitors from USAC. 1 year earlier, the 2 crossed paths at IRP.
To just stay where he is. Oh, a car.
Gurney got all sideways or got something happen up there. He slowed way down, and look at this. Bliss is on the outside of him. He's got a chance to win this race.
He's going to make a race out of it. They come down to the line. They touch.
Oh, my gosh, they went through there side by side.
I think Bliss won, and they both recover. They have to take the escape road down in the turn 1 where the old road course was. They both saved their cars, but an incredible finish.
Boy,
Kenny got conservative there at the end, and
look at this.
Look at that. Kenny pulled right down into him, trying to keep him going around, and it just wasn't quite enough. A wheel, less than a wheel.
Mike Bliss just stuck his right front right there in front of Kenny Irwin.
Here's another look from our camera down in turn number 1. They come off the corner, they bump, they touch, and they cross the line almost together, but because Irwin's car was sideways, Bliss actually crossed the line ahead of him.
How those guys kept from getting upside down, both of them, I'll never know, because you can't stick a wheel in a guy like that going down the straightaway.
Mike Bliss comes away the winner.
Somebody tell Mike Bliss these things don't have fenders. You can't do that stuff.
I mean, it was a good, tough race, and I really thought I had it a couple laps to go. The crew told me that everything looked good, and so I didn't run, and we were losing our brakes, and so I kind of tried to hold my position, and then I seen Bliss coming off of 4, and I just tried to turn down and you know, just come up that much short.
This time it was Irwin running behind Bliss.
Well, he just radioed Barry Dawson and says flat right front tire. Flat right front is what Mike Bliss just said a moment ago as he came by. And now the yellow flag will come out and the caution is on the racetrack. This will be the 5-minute break that NASCAR was talking about between laps 105 and 115. This is lap 114, and what a break for Mike Bliss, because he was going to have to come on the pit road and change the right front tire. And now with the caution out, they'll be able to take their time as Bliss very slowly makes his way down pit road toward the crew. And Barry Dodson, boy, sometimes when you're having a good night and you get a break, well, it all seemed to go your way. Here is Bliss.
But Jerry, he's not got too much of a break because he's torn the right front fender all to pieces with the flat tire.
Now with Bliss having his troubles, who do you worry about? There are a couple of strong trucks right behind you.
I seen the 16 and the 44. It seemed like we could pull away from them, though, me and Bliss, but I don't know how to be, by myself. We'll just see how it goes. Hopefully we can stay in front of Bliss. I think that's going to be the real competition.
After the flat tire, Bliss charged from 14th to 5th. And a late race caution for fluid on the track forced a 3-lap sprint to the finish.
Here's Bound up the outside. He'll make a pass on Crawford if he can make it stick at 1. He'll try to, but Crawford hangs on the inside, and he keeps in 3rd spot.
Rick says, I don't need a lot of super speedway experience to know what to do in this situation. Stay on the bottom and keep my foot down. Here comes Bliss.
Trying to look on the inside. All these trucks in the lead lap, all these battles for position.
Kenny Irwin Jr. He's already the youngest winner in the history of the Truck Series at 27 years and 7 months down at Homestead. And now he's trying to become the youngest guy to win 2. Crawford has a notion here as he goes after Said, bounce backing up and holding up Bliss in the process.
Look at these 3 trucks and Rick Crawford. The 14, the blue 14. Great run tonight for Rick Crawford.
Yeah, this is terrific. Melodic in the crew. Roland, of course, was the manager of Earnhardt's team back when Earnhardt won the first championship back in 1980.
1980. White flag is out.
Been around a long time.
White flag.
Kenny Irwin Jr. on the last lap. Cross all your fingers and toes, boys, because Boris Said is only 3 truck lengths back.
Right now, there's a big screen behind the pits. They're all watching as this truck goes down the backstretch.
Crawford sits back there in 3rd spot. Doesn't look like anybody's got anything spectacular planned as Kenny Irwin Jr. takes it through 3 and 4 and heads for home in front of 50,000 Texans. Biggest crowd ever to watch a truck race. Take home the gold, his 2nd career victory. He will improve on his 5th place ranking in the series in a race that has been very hard on the championship front runners here this season. Back in Texas, the celebration is on. The crew have gathered around Kenny Irwin's truck as the top 5 are all parked down there.
But he don't know where Victory Lane is.
Where do I go? Where do I go?
The Craftsman officials are saying, okay, Kenny, please take the truck to Victory Lane, will you? It's over there behind you. They got a big circle and everything here.
He said, well, here's all the guys I beat. I'll just pull up at the head of that line. There's Victory Lane, left side of your screen. So now Kenny is going to have to make at least part of a lap. He's going to find his way in.
And he's just about ready to climb out of the truck. Kenny Irwin getting the congratulations. Kenny, climb on out of here so we can get a good look at you. And here he is. He finally found his way here.
I'm number 1.
It's a good thing you knew where the track was because it was awful hard for you to find Victory Lane. Congratulations.
I know, man. This is the neatest thing. This Ray Bestis Ford run great all night. It's just, you know, this team is just great. I come in here, and this is my first year racing stock cars, and, you know, I'm just with a great team, and they're just giving me great opportunities.
All right, tell me the truth. I know you want to win Cintas Rookie of the Year, but did you expect to win 2 races this early in the season, or even for the entire year?
I tell you, I couldn't believe it when we won the first one, and to win the second one is just unbelievable. The NASCAR Truck Series just has given me a great opportunity to do some races and to take it to the next level, and it's just great.
I felt the whole race, I felt like the only person that I had to beat was Mike Bliss, and I mean, I felt like that me and him had the 2 best trucks there, and then he had a problem, and I just felt like that we had the best truck, the best team, the whole deal, right team.
Irwin's $58,950 prize was the 2nd largest in series history at the time. Brad Daugherty, whose jersey had just been retired by the Cleveland Cavaliers, said this was more exciting than watching the NBA Finals. That's all predetermined anyway, he said. Utah is going to win. And they did. Irwin left the race 3rd in points, just 15 behind runner-up Jack Sprague and 55 back of leader Rich Bickle. But over the next 6 races, he finished no better than 14th and slipped to 10th in the point standings. Irwin was starting to lose his advantage in the Rookie of the Year standings, as Rick Crawford closed the gap to just 8 points. In July, when Irwin returned home to IRP, he rebounded to finish 7th. He also won a USAC Silver Crown race that weekend, taking the victory after race leader Tony Stewart spun into a lapped car with 22 laps to go. This proved timely, as an announcement was set for the following day at the big track. It was July in New Hampshire when the news broke. At the Magic Mile in 1993, during the inaugural Slick 5300, Davey Allison made what turned out to be his last Winston Cup start. Of course, no one knew this at the time, including Ernie Irvin, who rode with Allison in the same pickup truck during driver introductions. In September, just weeks after Allison's untimely death, Irvin became his full-time replacement, and by October, the number 28 Texaco Haviland Ford was back in Victory Lane. In 1994, Irvin looked poised to give car owner Robert Yates his long-awaited first Winston Cup championship. But at Michigan, a frightening crash in practice nearly took Irvin's life. Irvin returned to the series just over a year later, won at New Hampshire, then again at Michigan. But something had changed. As Al Pierce wrote, quote, "Something dark happened on Irvin's way back from injury. He lost the impish charm that had made him so likable when he arrived from California in the late 80s. In ways he perhaps never realized, he grew sullen and difficult with all but his closest friends." It didn't help that Irvin also had competition. Dale Jarrett, his own replacement, was now his teammate, and after a breakthrough win in the 1996 Daytona 500, just the fourth ever start for Yates' second car, Jarrett's number 88 Quality Care Ford was now poised to become Yates' flagship team. When the series returned to New Hampshire in 1997, where Irvin was the defending winner, Jarrett was fourth in points, firmly in championship contention. Irvin was a distant 16th. And while Irvin said he was assured otherwise by representatives of his sponsor, Yates announced he wouldn't renew Irvin for 1998. Yates said he wanted to give Irvin enough time to find another ride, but more importantly, wanted to do something different. To this end, Irvin asked Yates point blank if he was replacing him with Kenny Irwin. Yates denied it, but also couldn't help but look back fondly at his time working with Davey, how he developed as a driver, just as Robert Yates Racing did as a team. Of course, Yates was well on his way to signing Irwin. In fact, Irwin was perhaps the most persistent in calling Yates about the ride. He wasn't the only one, of course. As much as Yates enjoyed seeing Jarrett's success in the number 88, he still wanted the 28 to become the flagship car. To do this, he wanted to hire a veteran driver. Among those in the mix were Johnny Benson Jr., Ward Burton, and Michael Waltrip. But Robert's son Doug Yates convinced him that a young driver would be a wise investment in the team's future, and as longtime mechanic Raymond Fox put it, that future had to include a championship. "This team deserves a championship more than a lot of other people here because it's been through so much with injuries and death," he said. "This is our chance to build something of our own, to have something like Davey had. It's time for us to win that championship, for him and for us." And so, before July was even out, a source within the Ford Motor Company confirmed Irwin's signing, set to be announced prior to the 1997 Brickyard 400. It was already setting up to be a huge month for the manufacturer. The Wednesday before the Brickyard, at the Indianapolis Convention Center, Ford would unveil their new car that would be run in the upcoming season. In the Cup Series alone, the Ford Thunderbird had scored 176 wins in 4 manufacturers' championships since its reintroduction to the series in 1978. But Ford would discontinue the car at the end of this model year. With some ingenuity by Don Miller, in came the Taurus, the best-selling car in the country the last 5 years. That Friday, in another press conference, Yates helped Irwin into a black coat with the Texaco logo. A proud moment for Kenny Sr. and his son. "I have goals written out for myself," said Irwin. "The goal at the top is Winston Cup champion. It surprises me how well it's been coming along. Every day I see myself getting closer to it." Despite Irwin's success in USAC, some were still surprised that the driver who was still days away from his 27th birthday had landed such a high-profile ride. Indeed, the other 3 declared rookies for 98 would drive for practically brand new teams. Steve Park for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, Jerry Nadeau for Elliott Marino Motorsports, and Joe Falk's second-year team LJ Racing brought on Kevin LePage. With Earnhardt's backing, Park was expected to be Irwin's closest competitor for the rest of the season. Up to that point, Ernie Irvin had been involved in the closest rookie battle to date, when he was bested by Ken Bouchard by a score of 242 points to 239. But in August, Mike Skinner, who had himself graduated from the Truck Series to now compete for Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, endorsed this new star. "I think Kenny Irwin has a lot of talent," he said. "As far as talent-wise, driving the car, he can go straight from the trucks to Winston Cup." There was still a question of experience. At the time of the announcement, Irwin had yet to complete his first full season in the Truck Series. He had failed to qualify for all 4 of his attempts to race in the Busch Series, a division where fellow rookies Park and LePage were both race winners. He hadn't even climbed aboard a Winston Cup car, and wouldn't until weeks after both Nadeau and Park made their own Cup debuts. But Yates had a plan. He worked out a technical alliance with Arkansas attorney David Blair, who bought Junior Johnson's second Ford team, the number 27, in late 1995. In 96, Blair Motorsports competed in a dwindling number of races with little to no sponsorship. On the weekend of Irwin's announcement, Blair's team qualified for only its second race of '97, with Rick Wilson behind the wheel. Things were sure to change with one of Doug Yates' engines in Blair's car and Irwin behind the wheel. The elusive sponsorship was there too. The 1997 season also happened to mark Hasbro's entrance into the diecast market with Winner's Circle, a brand which brought Action Performance's tooling from the racetrack into stores. Winner's Circle picked up the rights to produce diecasts of most of the sport's biggest names, including Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, and Dale Jarrett. 2 of Irwin's first 4 cars would also be produced in the line, featuring the Winner's Circle branding, alongside such Hasbro brands as Tonka, G.I. Joe, and Nerf. The bright orange and yellow Tonka car would run in Irwin's first 2 of 5 scheduled starts in the fall races at Richmond and Martinsville. "We're picking the tough ones," said Yates. "We're going to find out pretty soon how well we're prepared." Yates put Irwin through 2 days of testing at the Richmond track, then returned the following week for another 2 days. These were Irwin's first laps in a Cup car, an experience so altogether new to him that he had to learn how to enter and exit pit road. Yates kept Irwin on track as much as possible, and even sent out a second car driven by Joe Ruttman for Irwin to race. "I was worn out after the first test," said Irwin. "I would come in and they would put on new tires, and I would go out until I couldn't drive anymore. Then I would come in and they would give me a glass of water and I'd go back out and do it again." Yates laughed, saying he intended to wear him out and push his limits. "We think we can take the car and Kenny Irwin and get him up to speed," he said, "and expedite this learning curve that he has to go through." It was now time for Irwin's debut. Just 1 year earlier at this same Richmond track, Irwin had successfully auditioned for his current Truck Series ride at Liberty Racing by winning the pole. Now, in his first timed lap in the Winston Cup car, history nearly repeated itself.
Brickyard and Kenny Irwin on the track looking to make his Winston Cup debut here tomorrow night.
All right, that's the car number 27. It's owned by David Blair, and Kenny Irwin, you well know, already been named as the driver of the car number 28 for Robert Yates next year. Robert Yates getting David Blair to get Kenny some experience, and that will come here this weekend if they get the car qualified in the field.
Hold the phone, folks. He's at the top of the pylon. 124.677 for Kenny Irwin. 21.656 seconds.
You think Robert Yates doesn't have an eye for talent? He named this young man to get in his Winston Cup car next year in his debut. Thus far in qualifying, he is on the pole, and we'll talk to him when we come back, so don't go away.
Hey, Kenny Irwin. Now, all of us said you're not ready for this deal. You're going to make us eat our words, aren't you?
Well, that's what I hear you saying on TV, that I wasn't ready, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I don't know. But Robert Yates thought I was, and I was ready to take a chance, and hopefully it pays off. This is just one race, so and hopefully I have a career of a lot more races with Robert Yates. His team is great, and I think he proved it today.
You know, you don't understand about the Benny Parsons jinx, do you? When you're on the pole, you aren't supposed to talk to me, because guess what? You're already second.
That's all right. All I wanted to do is make the top 25, and if we do that, then I'm happy.
Irwin missed the pole by just 8 thousandths of a second, but more importantly showed immediate promise in a Cup car. This continued into the race.
They say Richmond's a rough place to race if you're a new face. Unfortunately, no one told Kenny Irwin. This 28-year-old rookie starts his start on the front row in his Winston Cup debut. Robert Yates wanted his newest hire just to come here and make the field. Tonight, he will help lead it toward the green flag.
There it is. We're underway.
Goes around. Lots of cars behind him here.
Take it off. Take it off. Don't let that 24 by.
Hood, some of the wires under the hood. Whoa. Irwin a little loose coming off the corner.
Well, he could not. Now here comes Kenny Irwin for the lead off turn 4.
Wow. Going into turn number 1, but of course will have to cross the line to get credit for it. Quite an impressive performance by the young man from Indiana.
4 tires very quick for Ernie Irvin. He's got fuel. He's already off of pit road.
And the 27 car is on pit road. Kenny Irwin, you see him there, the right side of the big change. Going on the left side, Jerry Punch.
And he almost stalled the car coming in. He got in a pit right before he was going to stop, and the car almost quit. Right side tires, now left side tires. Jeff caught the jackman. Trouble with the left side. Now the car is down and away.
Irwin led 12 laps and finished 8th, becoming the first driver in NASCAR's modern era to qualify on the front row and finish in the top 10 in his Cup debut. Among active drivers at the time, it was the third best Winston Cup debut, trailing only Terry Labonte's 4th place finish at Darlington in 1978 and Rusty Wallace's runner-up at Atlanta in 1980. "I was very pleasantly surprised," said Yates after the race. "This is a learned skill. I don't think it's something you're born with. It's all about getting an opportunity to refine your skills and build them." Yates was also pleased when other drivers approached him about his new driver. Both Jimmy Spencer and Jeff Burton gave Irwin high marks. Burton said, "You've got a good guy there. He raced me clean. It was my fault when I spun." But behind the scenes, Yates took his young driver aside for a reality check. "Robert told me then, don't get a big head, because this isn't the way it's always going to be," he said, referring to the extensive testing that went into this first start, "and I kind of laughed it off. The lessons sank in soon after. We were very well prepared as we were. If another one of those teams was that prepared, they probably would have won that race. That was the greatest experience I've ever had, but I didn't let that fool me. Robert Yates didn't either. He told me, quote, 'This is not normal,' and I knew that. I'd raced enough to know, but it did tell me that I could race with these guys. Given time and experience, we can be competitive."
This weekend, looking for his second NASCAR Winston Cup start. Now joining me, driver of the Ray Vestas Ford, Kenny Irwin. How are you?
Doing good.
Appreciate you taking a couple minutes to come by. Let's talk about Richmond. What a great weekend for you. You qualified second, finished 8th. How did that compare to what you wanted to accomplish that weekend?
Well, I went into the weekend just hoping to make the show. Obviously, we wanted to do better than just get in the show, but I mean, when we qualified second, I mean, I was totally elated. I mean, that was better than anything I would have thought that we could go in there and do. And then just that we got to run the whole race. That's really, I mean, that's easy to, you know, you go there saying that's all you want to do, but that's really all I wanted to do was just be competitive and just run the whole race.
Rate your performance for me in the car. I mean, you obviously have thought about it a lot since then. How did you do? I mean, you...
Well, I mean, I want Robert Yates to rate me and everybody else. I mean, my deal was just to go there and to run the race, and hopefully Robert thinks that we did okay, and you know, I mean, we're just building for next year and trying to get me time, and just that's what I'm doing.
Was there a part in the race, the beginning of the race, where you were at all intimidated, concerned, or did that go away before the green flag ever dropped?
I think that went away right after qualifying. Okay. I mean, I was very nervous, very whatever, jitters, bugs. I mean, I had everything. When I walked out off the truck and got in the car for qualifying, I was pretty nervous. And then I got a lesson in happy hour. Rusty gave me a little lesson, and but that was good. I mean, I needed everything, so I mean, I'm ready to go to the next race. Hopefully, Martinsville. I mean, it's hard to say it could go that good, but you know, I just go in there looking to make the show and run. To say run 500 laps, that'd be hard to do.
The aftermath of the performance, your first NASCAR Winston Cup start with all the buildup of the high-profile ride for next year. Now you go out and you run in the top 10 in your first race. Did that relieve or add to whatever pressure you might have been feeling at the time?
Oh, I think it relieved pressure. I think it relieved a lot of pressure for Robert Yates. Hopefully it did for his decision to go with a rookie driver. I think he probably had more pressure on him than what I had on me, or that's how I felt. I really probably tried to relieve pressure off him more than I was trying to do it for myself. That everybody maybe give him a break and think maybe that wasn't such a bad decision.
Soon it was back to work in Martinsville, where Irwin struggled, just as Davey Allison had at the track during his own career. After running a second off the pace, Yates considered delaying Irwin's second start until Dover, But when Ruttman went on track to race Irwin again, he made up nearly a half second before rain cut the session short.
You went, you did the truck race and the Winston Cup race in Richmond. Then you took off and went open wheel racing somewhere, right?
I went and run Gateway, the new racetrack in St. Louis, and actually I have a ball going back now and running the open wheel stuff, the midgets, and run good. We, in fact, I thought we were going to win the race. We started kind of in the back, and we come up, and
this is not Gateway, by the way.
Right. Never this sideways, and we just we ended up fourth, which you know, Johnny Vance, that's who I run for, and that I think he was happy, and I was happy. I just like going back and doing it.
Yeah. And that was after testing at Martinsville between Richmond and Gateway, and now you're back here in Charlotte this week getting ready to go to Martinsville.
Yeah. And actually, I didn't know if we were going to get to go run that race. Robert Yates told me if we didn't get so fast that I had to stay there and test all weekend.
More advice from Jimmy Hensley, one of the track's greatest drivers, immediately paid off.
And the Tonka machine. The Tonka car was honking in Richmond. We're talking about 28-year-old Kenny Irwin Jr. The David Blair Motorsports Ford set on the outside of row 1 and finished 8th. What an impressive debut for this young man, who will drive full-time in 1998 for Robert Yates. And first lap is third quickest, 93.152 miles per hour, 20.328 seconds. And folks, and he's sideways out of turn 4. He hangs on. That might have cost him the pole. Everyone's been picking it up a 10th. If he'd have picked it up a 10th, he would definitely have been on the pole. Let's see, second time by for Irwin is a little bit slower, 20.400 seconds, 92.824. I don't care, folks. That's impressive.
Irwin qualified third and seemed headed for another strong run, but this time things didn't go as planned.
And Terry Labonte got involved in it as well.
I'm going to the truck with the Todd.
Dale Earnhardt.
All right, Dick.
Boy, Irwin slid into Trickle, and they collided very hard.
Trickle had just come back out of the track after being behind the wall for about 90 laps. I don't know what the start of this is, but you can see there's damage to the rear of the Kenny Irwin car.
After the crash, a faulty fuel pump starved the engine, leaving Irwin a distant 37th. Irwin then failed to qualify the Nerf car at Rockingham, a scheme that wouldn't race until Rick Ware Racing ran it as a throwback scheme in 2020. Irwin took 20th at Phoenix, where Action Performance sponsored him for the company's home race, then 25th in the G.I. Joe car at Atlanta. In between, he'd also completed tests at Charlotte and Talladega.
Almost 28 flat for Jeff Bodine. Think you can beat that?
I don't know. We probably ought to just concede and you know, take what we can get, but just for fun, we'll go out there and just see if we can cut one. That's pretty fast. You know, we've never gone that fast so far, so we'll just go out and have fun and see if we can do it.
And Kenny Irwin just completed his qualifying run, and he lost some of that speed that he had in practice that he had this morning. 28.519, 194.397. Didn't lose that much. Right now, Kenny Irwin is still in 6th spot.
On the Truck Series side, Irwin scored just as many top 5 finishes as engine failures, 3 apiece, and finished the year 10th in points. But he also held on to win Truck Series Rookie of the Year. And aside from the DNQ in Rockingham, Irwin had qualified no worse than 11th in his first 4 Winston Cup starts. Ford was excited, feeling that they truly had their answer to Jeff Gordon, and Yates was just as positive. Whatever happens this year, one thing I know is that Kenny just wants to drive the heck out of a car, he said. It sure makes me feel good. It sort of helps me explain, not just to myself, but to the grandstands, why we made the decision to let Irvin go and bring on Irwin. Meanwhile, Ernie Irvin ran his final few races for Robert Yates Racing and prepared for the upcoming 1998 campaign where he'd drive the Skittles Pontiac for MB2 Motorsports. At first, Irvin was magnanimous about passing the torch. This is a great team, he said. There is no doubt that Kenny Irwin is going to have an easy run when he comes to this team. But days later, his tone had changed. I'm not going to say anything bad about Kenny Irwin. I know he doesn't have any experience. They're going to have a tough road to continue what that race team's been able to do, and that's win races. A few weeks later at Fontana, in one of Irwin's last starts for Liberty Racing, Irwin was running third ahead of Ernie Irvin on the final lap.
Kenny Irwin Jr., but Ernie Irvin comes up around the outside to make a doorpost to doorpost. And that's going to let Mike Wallace run second spot. Now then we see those trucks slamming on each other. Once again, slamming on each other. They come to the line. And it's Irwin. Man, they never quit beating on each other. Now to claim the spot. And then on the cool-off lap, Ernie Irvin a little unhappy about the way that last lap unfolded. I think so. Son.
This wouldn't be the last time the two would clash on track.
Let me pick your brain about that, Robert, and open wheel racing. I mean, you have signed up with him for next year. What's he said to you about some of these types of races that I mean, you're the kind of guy that'll go run anywhere and anything, kind of a Schrader type. I read you as.
Well, we haven't talked about it.
Okay.
Maybe this will help to bring it up. I don't know. I'm not interested in running. I mean, maybe a couple races, but that's. I mean, I want to focus totally on Winston Cup, and that's. I mean, that's where I want to be, and I'm going to do anything I can to make that work. I would probably like to run maybe a few, two. Actually, two is what I thought about running next year. If anybody has a problem with that, then I probably won't do it. But
yeah. What about other types of racing? I mean, Busch Series stuff, Truck Series stuff. Have you kicked around any of that kind of thing for experience purposes on some tracks that you maybe haven't run at yet in the truck?
And I have thought about that. And the Busch Series would be a nice deal to do that with. We haven't
gotten that far.
Really, we haven't. Me and Robert have talked about maybe if I want to do it or if he wants me to do it. But we haven't said yes that I can go out and get a deal or look for a deal or something like that.
Still to be kicked around.
Still to be kicked around.
Kenny Irwin Jr. remained busy through the offseason. On November 8th, he made his first and only Winston West Series start in a 125-lap race at Las Vegas. There, he qualified outside pole next to Kenny Wallace and led 59 of the first 66 laps before he crashed, leaving him 28th out of 40. This also happened to be Irwin's first start in the number 28. Irwin then made the trip to Japan, where he was one of the 30 starters in the country's second exhibition race. Irwin performed some drift racing with Kenny Wallace, then on race day suffered damage on the opening lap of the event. He still salvaged an 18th place finish, coming home under power 9 laps down.
See, that's us. That's how you do it.
On February 8th, 10 days before the 40th Daytona 500, Irwin made his first and only start in ARCA for the First Plus Financial 200. He had to run the Thunderbird instead of a new Taurus. The Taurus wasn't yet approved for ARCA, citing the difficulty of ARCA teams getting the new body panels, along with Cup and Busch teams. For the ARCA race, Yates put one of his engines in a backup car Dale Jarrett never used the previous year. The car number was changed from 88 to 27 as Yates joined forces with Bill Blair's team for the final time. Ray Bestis, Irwin's sponsor in the Truck Series, was already an associate sponsor of the 28 team and would run as a primary for the ARCA attempt, just as they had in Winston West.
You were the fastest car this morning in both sessions. Can you beat a 336, 48.336?
I guess you know who we'd have to ask is Doug Yates. Doug, would you come here for a second? Doug.
Come here, Doug.
Yeah,
Doug Yates. Doug Yates.
He just asked me how fast we're going to run, and I, you know, he's the one that tunes on the motors, and he tells me how fast we're going to run every time we go out, and that's what we run. So
he's been telling Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett that for years and been right. So, Doug, give us a prediction. Can you beat a 48.336?
I don't know. It's going to be tough. I mean, the main reason why we're here is to get laps for Kenny and learn how to draft, and we'll see how qualifying comes out, and hopefully we have a shot at it.
And Baird's lap was 3:36, so he's got to pick up, about 1700ths of a second to do it.
Doug looks a little nervous up there in the corner. Here comes Kenny Irwin.
He's certainly not moving the wheel back and forth. Very, very steady with the steering wheel. It's going to be very, very close.
Did he do it? Did he do it?
No!
Oh, it was close.
close. He's still second. He went faster on lap 2, but it's still second quick. 48.375, 186.047, Doc.
Yeah, I mean, running here, it's really totally different than anything. You just go out there and it's just like making laps. You're, I mean, you know, I've never raced here, so I don't know what race setup is, but it doesn't seem that much different right now from what we've been doing all winter.
You're about to find out. Good luck.
Thanks.
Not guaranteed a starting spot for a race with 25 drivers sent home, Irwin put his car on the outside pole alongside Bill Baird. In the race, Irwin immediately made a bid for the lead.
Kenny Irwin, a rookie. Rookies on the front row. Glad to have you with us as the ARCA 200 is underway. Gerhardt alongside Mark Gibson. They are single file up front, first and second.
He led the first 30 laps until a tight battle with two future field fillers, Andy Hillenberg for the Sadler brothers and the Hoover Motorsports entry of Mike Cicchetti.
One of the stories we were following all week long, the second generation drivers.
Looks like Hillenberg might be going to make a move on him, guys.
On the outside, he's got Cicchetti with him.
Gravy Train Chevrolet, last year's winner here at Daytona. And they are side by side. See if that Robert Yates horsepower can make a difference down the backstretch.
And Cicchetti's going to go to the low side.
3 abreast on the inside, takes the lead.
Cicchetti proved to be Irwin's greatest challenge the rest of the day.
We stay green, cars on pit road. Irwin is in his pit. 2 pits in front of him is Cicchetti. Gibson swings in between them. They go to the right side. They'll add fuel to get these cars to the finish. Clean the windshield. Right side scuff Hoosier tires going on the 80 car. Right side stickers going on for the 59. Kenny Irwin getting quick service from the Robert Yates crew and David Blair Motorsports. They've got the left sides on, waiting on fuel now. It's only 2 tires. 2 tires. The 80 car is down. Tries to get away and does. Irwin chases him. Now they wait for the 59 to pull away. He's in the race, and Venturini joins back in with that group. So he'll look up with some pretty fast guys here on the restart.
And here's a battle for the lead as they come down off pit road, and Irwin will pass Cicchetti to take the lead. Kyle Fanny?
With 10 to go, as Chad Coleman pitted out of sequence, Irwin retook the lead. But by then, he was a full mile-per-hour slower than a fast-closing Mark Thompson.
9 times I have finished this race just once. And Benny, you're exactly right. Look how he's pulling these guys. He's gaining on them.
Well, he starts getting that draft. He's going to be even faster than these guys.
Jerry, his average finish here at Daytona, believe it or not, is 27.28. That's terrible. He can make up for that today.
Here he's right on the back bumper. He is there. Thompson is flying, and look as he'll try to come off his tri-oval and dive to the inside and get by Cicchetti. But Cicchetti goes down to block that move. And Kenny Irwin goes down to block that move. Now Cicchetti's going to try it on the outside. He passed him once before.
Good boost there. That's what you need.
That's a spotter talking to Kenny Irwin.
And Mark Thompson trying to take over that second spot. He lost his momentum. Cicchetti goes back.
That's what Kenny Irwin wanted to see, these 2 guys running side by side to be able to give him some room to get away.
Oh, Thompson loses it.
Or did he?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That will make the highlight reels, folks.
How in the world at 190 miles an hour do you save them when they're sideways?
Even as Thompson fell back, it still came down to the final lap.
And here comes Wallace on the inside of Cicchetti.
Wallace won this race back in 1994. He knows how to get to victory lane. Hillenberg, a former winner, too.
Side by side for second spot. White flag waves. Irwin the leader. All right, spotters telling Kenny Irwin to go where they go, meaning watch what Mike Wallace does, the veteran right behind you. There they are battling side by side for third. Cicchetti in the 80, Kimmel in the 46, Hillenberg behind him, last year's winner. That's third, fourth, and fifth together. A little bit of touch. They are half a lap away from the checkered flag. Up ahead, the leaders, as you watch this battle side by side, the air buffeting these cars. Mike Wallace, the white car in front.
Oh, and they spin. And Hillenberg was able to get by, and here they come.
And Kenny Irwin will win the First Plus Financial 200. Mike Wallace finishes second. Now we go down to our McDonald's winner circle, where 28-year-old Kenny Irwin is about to climb out for the first time at Daytona and celebrate.
Not bad, Kenny.
Well, Kenny Irwin climbs from his car onto the roof in victory lane in Daytona. Congratulations.
Man, this is cool. This is my first race at Daytona. I mean, it's just Robert Yates, around August 5th, hired me to drive his cars, and I mean, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I mean, this is just all part of it, and to come down here and run so good. But I mean, the goal is to run good in the Daytona 500 and the 125. So I mean, that's the next thing at hand. But Ray Bestis, Texaco, I mean, they put this car together so we could run this week, and I mean, it's just great.
It all began, the Twins and the Daytona 500, in this race, though. You needed some drafting experience.
Exactly, and that was the only reason we run this race, is me and Robert talked about, you know, what we should run, and the ARCA race seemed to be, you know, the thing to do, and I definitely got some experience today. I mean, the car run great, and I think they're called Yates Rockets or something, and they were awesome today.
Can you tell us what you know now that you didn't know 80 laps ago, Kenny?
Well, I mean, I guess just being out there, you just realize what, you know, what it does in the draft and how cars can get by you. I seen the 90 car, 80 car, whatever it was, and I mean, he got by me a couple times just for the fact that I didn't really know what to do, and it was just, I mean, there at the end, I kind of figured out some stuff that I needed to do.
You certainly know how to lead at a restrictor plate race.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I thought, you know, I'm thinking we just got to keep it under control, and we'll be all right. But just now we got to go to the 125s.
Okay, we'll see you there. Best of luck and congratulations.
All right, Kenny Irwin becomes the 28th different driver to win the ARCA 200. Today, he led 2 times for a total of 41 laps. So the young man indeed got some very valuable experience driving that Robert Yates Robestos rocket.
Just like both Kyle and Adam Petty, Irwin had won the first ARCA race he'd ever attempted. For Irwin and Robert Yates Racing, the 1998 NASCAR Winston Cup season was about making a fresh start. Instead of a black uniform like Irvin and Allison had worn, Irwin wore white. He'd still be paired with Irvin's crew chief Mark Reno, who in the lead up to Daytona sometimes forgot that Irwin was a rookie. "We're not looking at it as a rookie year for us," said Reno. "We're looking at it as a year to race everybody." Irwin tried to keep his expectations realistic in what would be NASCAR's 50th anniversary season. "I don't think anybody believes that right out of the box we're going to go out there and set the world on fire," said Irwin. "To say we're going to be a contender, like DJ is, that's overstepping it a little. My first goal is just to be competitive. After every race, I want them to know the 28 car was there, Kenny Irwin was driving it, and he was running up front. And yes, winning Rookie of the Year is definitely a goal of mine." Even though Yates was unsatisfied with the aerodynamics of Ford's new Taurus model, Irwin was fastest in preseason testing for the Daytona 500. But by February, the speed just wasn't there for both practice and qualifying.
They have been struggling here yesterday and this morning in practice. Nothing compared to what they tested at here a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he tested 190 miles per hour, didn't he?
190.609 to be exact. He was the fastest overall of all the drivers in the January testing. But on his first lap, he comes in 28th quick with a 47.965, 187.637.
But that first lap is about as fast as he has run in practice. So if he can pick up some here, he definitely has gained on it.
Ned, you know, the Ford Taurus, that was the fastest speed in winter testing. And the General Motors products ran about 189. But here we see the General Motors cars at 192, and the Fords are struggling to get to 190 miles per hour. What do you think happened?
I don't know. You reckon it dipped into the sandbox a little bit?
Ooh, I wish you hadn't mentioned that word.
We'll see that Irwin right now would be fit in about 27th spot.
only picked it up one spot. Let's see.
Stayed at 27.
He only gained 700 of a second on the second lap.
47.895, 187.911 miles per hour. Does not bode very well for Dale Jarrett.
He's got a car that's a teammate to that one, so you wonder.
On Thursday, Irwin started just 17th in the 28-car field for the first 125-mile qualifier.
What a day for Kenny Irwin, his first start in Winston Cup car, the 28 car owned by Robert Yates. He's one of 4 rookies trying to make the field, but a lot of veterans trying to make that race on Sunday. And Kenny Irwin, you think you're going to find some road rage out there today?
I don't know. You know, I'm a big learning curve today, so just going to see how everybody races and just try to race with them.
Remember now, he won the ARCA 200 last weekend. They entered that race to get drafting experience, but he ran up front most of the day. This will be his first shot at hand-to-hand combat, Mike.
He was still in heavy traffic when trouble broke out in front of him on lap 33.
Oh, big trouble back straight away. From the middle of the pack, cars have gone spinning. Dick Trickle down to the inside.
They'll race back to the start-finish line, but Dick Trickle with the roof flap up on it. Here they come. Back to the line. Kenny Irwin Jr. there in the 28.
Well, they have brought Kenny Irwin down pit road. He has got heavy damage to the right side of the car. He's got damage to the left side of the car as well. He's got donuts all over the door panels. They are working to get the sheet metal off so they can change the right side tires. Gasman Norman Kajimizu filling him up with fuel. They'll go to work on the left side of the car as well. They're trying to get the sheet metal away here so they get the jack up underneath. They are struggling to get the left front tire off. The sheet metal is having to be pulled away, and they're going to let him go. Well, now they've stopped him again. They're just trying to pull the sheet metal away enough so that maybe they can leave those left. Now they're going to take the left side tire off. A lot of decisions being made on the spur of the moment down here as to what they can do quickest to get Kenny Irwin back into this race.
Irwin finished the qualifier 25th, 2 laps down, putting him 38th on the grid for his first Daytona 500. In the race, he tried to make up for lost time.
And look at Kenny Irwin, buddy. He has come from 38th position up there with the lead pack.
That's that black and red number 28. There's Irwin, the rookie. Bill Stevens.
Kenny Irwin is flying. Mark Reno, the crew chief, just told me the biggest problem they've had with him today is telling him to be patient. He has been wanting to get out of this double file deal since the beginning of the race, but remember, he crashed in one of the qualifiers the other day, and the spotter's really trying to calm him down.
As Dale Earnhardt finally hoisted his only Harley J. Earl trophy, Irwin finished 19th, the first driver 1 lap down. In the following 2 rounds at Rockingham and Las Vegas, Irwin spun both times and finished multiple laps down, taking 26th and 36th. After these races, Yates determined that Mark Reno didn't click with Irwin, and the two parted ways. His replacement, at least on a temporary basis, came down to mechanic Raymond Fox and Richard Slugger Labby, who worked with Irwin during his Cup debut at Richmond. The reason for the change may have been a lack of communication. In an interview, Yates said even he had trouble interpreting what he called sprinter talk, as Irwin tried to use his USAC experience to explain what he needed out of his Cup car. "We're really working on communication and understanding," said Yates. "We haven't responded fast enough to what he was telling us at times, because his description and our understanding has not been what we'd want. I think the difference lately is in the chassis feedback I've been giving the crew," said Irwin. "I've always been able to tell them whether the car is pushing or loose, but in stock cars they also need to know how to fix it. I lack that knowledge." The crew chief change occurred just before Atlanta, the first track on the '98 calendar that Irwin had raced in Winston Cup the previous year. That weekend began with a significant development in the rookie battle.
We have a red on Atlanta Motor Speedway at the moment because Steve Park has crashed and the car has ended up in the pit lane, and it was kind of a scary situation because obviously he had no brakes and no steering, and the car was going at a tremendous speed toward pit wall, and those people you see standing back there scattered and headed for cover, and I don't think anybody was injured.
Park's injuries put him out of the car for the next 15 races, leaving Irwin to battle Jerry Nadeau and Kevin LePage for top rookie honors. Entering this 4th race of the season, both Nadeau and LePage had already failed to qualify for one of the previous 3 races, and both would change teams by the time Park returned. The opportunity was there for Irwin to take a commanding lead in the Rookie of the Year battle, and he responded.
Kenny Irwin. Whoa, look at Kenny Irwin. He's bumped Robert Presley off the pole. Wow.
Wow. Looks like Richard Lappy certainly picked the right springs and right shots with this car. 28.842, 192.220 for Kenny Irwin.
And he moves to the provisional pole for Sunday's Prime Star 500. Back in a moment.
And, you know, we just wanted to be solid, and hopefully that's what we did today. You know, if we can start in the top 10, that'd be a lot better than where we've been starting the last few weeks. This 28-car Hallman Ford, I mean, it's going to be up front. It's going to take us a little while.
Where did that lap come from?
We just, you know, last fall when we were down here, we run good, and you know, we come back to that setup here today, and you know, it showed that we had a good setup then, and we got a good setup now.
After qualifying no better than 29th in the first 3 races of 1998, Irwin timed in 5th and looked even faster in the race itself.
Fastest lap that lap was Terry Labonte.
And the Yates car, and there we go. Kenny Irwin goes for the lead, and he has it coming off the corner.
And he led the strike, so he gets those 5 bonus points.
That will be the first lap that Kenny Irwin has led in 1998.
And it was one thing to move over and let your teammate go by when you're in second, but it's going to be a little tougher when you're first.
Kenny Irwin, pretty impressive.
Yes, he is. I mean, last thing he told me this morning when he got in the car, he said, hey, we come to win this race. And man, if we can finish 1-2, that'd be a great day for Robert Yates. I mean, we've had some bad luck this year, and it'd be a great day for everybody, Texaco and Quality Care, if we could finish 1-2, which is like what we want to do, you know.
Great day for you, Robert, and your young driver, Kenny Irwin.
Yeah, got a ways to go, and I've seen this show so many times, you know, you get, we just don't want to get over our heads, you know. We don't have to win this race today. We just want to get a good solid run.
And he wants.
In only his 8th Cup start, Irwin led 113 laps, about half the laps Jeff Gordon led during the entirety of his own rookie season 5 years earlier. And even Gordon didn't win in his first full season.
Kenny Irwin is learning by doing, obviously, as a rookie in NASCAR Winston Cup. Earlier in this race, he led the field back to the caution flag. After he took the caution, he went a little fast into turn 1. NASCAR told his crew to make sure he knows to slow down after he takes the caution. Well, this time, after he came off of pit road, he beat the 5-car off of pit road. NASCAR apparently is telling the crew he did not catch up to the pace car fast enough, that he was holding up the rest of the field that wanted to get around the track. For that, they've moved the 5 in front of the 28 on the track. The 28 guys are not happy about this, but they just had a big meeting here on pit road. Robert Yates just told his driver, shake this off, we can still have a good run, and the team's getting themselves fired back up for the finish of this race.
Well, certainly Irwin has been in contention for the win here, and the last race won by a rookie was in a Robert Yates car. It was Davey Allison in Dover, June of 1987. It's been almost 10 years.
The crew also stepped up with fast pit stops. That is, until the last one of the day.
Kenny Irwin's fate may be decided right here. This is expected to be 4 tires, and they are going to try and loosen the car up a little bit. It could be wedge, or it could be track bar. They hadn't decided. Now they go to the rear of the car. Right sides are on. They come around to the left. They put more tape on the grill trying to cover that hole. Up top.
Jeff Burton has got a tough break. He's locked in behind Kenny Wallace's car, and he makes contact with Kenny Wallace. If he does beat Kenny Irwin out of the pits, Rusty Wallace beats him, Johnny Benson, and Wallace beats Irwin out of the pits.
A lug nut issue dropped Irwin to a 5th place finish. It must have been a little disappointing, but also a promising sign for the future. With Slugger Labby, now Irwin's permanent crew chief, the team arrived at Darlington 2 weeks later, looking for another strong run. Again, Irwin was fastest in qualifying, taking 5th on the grid for a 2nd straight race, and he climbed to 3rd in the early laps. But on a green flag stop, he was too cautious entering pit road, putting him a lap down near the halfway point. A few laps later, he was on pit road again.
They thought when he pitted a moment ago that he had a flat tire, but when he started to leave the pits, he had trouble getting the car to move, and now the crew, Slugger Labby and company, have told him, bring it to the garage area, bring it around behind the wall. They've either broken an axle or possibly something in the rear end, possibly a ratchet in the rear end. He brings the car back behind the wall, and they will bring it to a stop. They will put the jack under, jack it up, put jack stands, and see if it is an axle or possibly a ratchet, but a tough break for an
impressive rookie driver after having a pretty good run here through most of the afternoon. They're working feverishly to try to be able to get this thing out, but now they have the right rear axle out, and it has literally come apart. It is chewed off on the right side. Let me use the vice grips here to try to hold it together. I'll get it over to our camera here, Corky, so we can stay away from where they're working. That is the right rear axle. This is the outside part of the right rear axle. You see where it is sheared away there, and that was indeed the problem. They're going to replace the axle. That was the reason that Kenny Irwin thought he had a tire going down. He only had one wheel pulling coming through the corners. It will replace the right rear axle. That's what Ray Fox and the crew are doing right there at the right rear of the car, trying to get it back out. In fact, they already have the axle replaced. They are putting the brake hub assembly back in place and should have him, that Slugger Labby, the crew chief, under the car on his stomach, trying to make sure they're checking the rear end and make sure they get the axle seated well, and should be able to get him back out probably in the next 10 minutes or so.
The repairs dropped Irwin 23 laps down, and he finished 39th.
I'm really looking forward to going to Bristol. You know, we run good in there in the trucks, and I can't wait to run there with the car. So, you know, I mean, kind of me looking down the road, Bristol hopefully is going to be a good race for us also.
Next came Bristol, where this time he made just 88 laps of the Food City 500.
These are the cars we're talking about. That's Kenny Irwin on the inside, Steve Grissom on the outside, and going in the corner, it looks like that Irwin trying to get in the corner too hard, and Grissom takes some air off the spoiler. He loses control. When he turned that thing back to the right, Ned, those radial tires hooked up and just sent him right in the wall.
They really did. If he would have had the presence of mind, of course, I know it's hard to think of everything, but if he could have stood on the gas right before it made that right-hand turn, he might could have spun it around like Jerry Nadeau did a little bit earlier.
With a first last place finish of his Winston Cup career, Irwin then filled in for fellow Ford driver Jeff Bodine until that car overheated, finishing in 39th. The following race at Texas marked the first time since 1992 that Robert Yates didn't make it to the track as he was recovering from surgery. After bouncing his car off the wall, Irwin qualified 4th, better than he'd started at both Atlanta and Darlington, but it was to be another short afternoon.
Trouble, turn 2. It is Kenny Irwin. All torn up in what looked like a single car incident at turn 2.
After another 39th place finish, a 19th at Martinsville was cold comfort as it only moved him from 30th to 28th in points. While Irwin had been considered the next Jeff Gordon for his similar youth, success in USAC, and high-dollar ride, his number 28 with a rookie stripe made some call him the next Davey Allison. Irwin stayed mindful of this, trying to follow Davey's lead by eagerly meeting fans and signing autographs, particularly as the series rolled into Talladega for the Die Hard 500. There, countless fans told Irwin how much they loved Davey, loved Robert Yates, and that black Texaco Haviland Ford. After all, it was Davey who was the last rookie driver to win a Cup race, then set a record of his own by winning again that year at Dover. Coming up on the 5th anniversary of Davey's tragic death in a helicopter crash at that same track, the Thursday before this race saw him inducted into the nearby International Motorsports Hall of Fame. It was also overwhelming, even to Davey's widow, Liz Allison. Liz first met Irwin on pit road for the Daytona 500. As the two spoke, Robbie and Krista, her 2 young children, started crying and pointing at the nearby screen. "It's Daddy's car," they shouted. "It's Daddy's car." Sure enough, the track was playing footage of Davey's win in the 1992 Daytona 500, driving that same black number 28. It was part of NASCAR's unveiling of its list of the sport's 50 greatest drivers. Irwin didn't seem to mind, but Liz did. "I actually feel sorry for Kenny Irwin sometimes," she said. "I hate the fact that people would compare him to Davey in his rookie year. Davey would have wanted people to give him a chance as an individual and not make him live in his shadow. He would want people to see what a great race car driver he is." After all the autographs were signed, Irwin, the 6th driver to run the number 28 since Davey's passing, looked to give the Alabama faithful something to cheer for. He qualified just 25th for Sunday's race, but was fastest in Saturday's practice. He battled for much of the day, only to finish 40th after, of all things, a blown Robert Yates engine. At the California Speedway, Irwin finished 16th, his best run since Atlanta, but was also trapped a lap down by an ill-timed caution. He arrived in Charlotte for the All-Star race, where he secured a spot in the main event thanks to Ernie Irvin's win at Michigan the previous year. Irwin showed good speed early, only to crash again in the second segment. He finished 13th out of 20 starters.
I don't know, we were going to be good on the outside there, and I just must have got up a little too high and got loose. Other than that, I don't know. The car was good tonight. Texaco car run good. Just it's too bad we weren't around for the last 10 laps.
Your first experience in this race, what'd you think?
I think it's pretty exciting. I think everybody in the grandstands ought to like it. I know the drivers do.
All right, Kenny Irwin done for the evening.
The 1998 season marked not only NASCAR's 50th anniversary, but also the introduction of 43-car fields at each Winston Cup race. Prior to this season, the number of available starting spots varied based on such factors as the size of the track. At the same time, entry lists remained massive. That year's Daytona 500 sent 13 drivers home, and there have been between 3 and 9 DNQs in each of the 10 races since. That streak would continue in the Coca-Cola 600, where 8 would go home.
I watch these races and I see how hard it is to make the races. And I think that that's a chore in itself. You have so many cars, good teams trying to make races, and you see good teams going home. And I mean, I don't think that Robert Yates teams are going to go home. And I hope next year they're not going home.
Down, currently the #1 driver out of Indianapolis, Indiana, in the rookie standings of NASCAR. Great World of Outlaws racer, had a lot of experience in open wheels, looking good right now.
And in Atlanta, Georgia, earlier in the year, he led 90% of the race down there. Looked like he may have a chance to win. Did not win, but had a great run to the sister track result.
Very little experience here. He ran the Winston Open here last Saturday night, and the practice laps he has run, that's all he's had as far as opportunity to run around the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Locked in that great battle with Kevin LePage for rookie honors. He slows down. LePage is out qualified. 18th is what we have for Kenny Irwin at 1:78.974.
It didn't look like it at the time, but a catastrophe had just happened. With no provisionals left after many bad qualifying runs, Irwin, one of the inaugural members of the Coca-Cola Racing family, had just failed to qualify for the sponsor's race. It was the first DNQ in the history of Robert Yates Racing, a team that had once thrived at Charlotte, with both Davey Allison and Ernie Irvin. "I was devastated," said Irwin, "but Robert Yates made it easier for me to get through it. It was an eye-opener. It was like I had been exposed." After the Charlotte weekend, Yates had Dale Jarrett test Irwin's car to see if it was the driver or equipment that was to blame. Fortunately for Irwin, Jarrett also struggled to get the number 28 around the track. "We still didn't know why we weren't fast, but when he didn't go as fast as I did, it made me feel better," said Irwin. "I think we learned that my driving style is more like Dale's than Ernie Irvin's. We have been using Ernie's baseline setup." Before the season started, Yates had asked representatives of Texaco Hallman what they would say if Irwin failed to qualify for a race during his rookie season. They said they would accept it, and they did. But in his article for the Indianapolis Star, Kurt Cavan wrote that there had since been changes to the company's motorsports management structure, changes which meant they wouldn't be nearly as forgiving if this ever happened again. And so, as the series headed to the next race in Dover, Irwin was still shaken by his DNQ and what lay ahead. "It was definitely a mental week for me just trying to get ready," he said, "and then coming to a track, Dover, that I had never seen, and go from not making the race and then onto another track where I'm just sure that we're going to struggle, it's been tough." "I told Kenny when we started this deal, timing is everything," said Yates. "He landed when we were behind in engines and behind in building cars, so it's not all his fault. We've caught up now, and we'll be all right." Irwin agreed, saying, quote, "I feel less pressure since the DNQ in the 600. There was so much pressure that weekend on me and the entire team, I don't see it can be any worse than that." Sure enough, Irwin did qualify at Dover, and a strong 9th at that. He would qualify no worse than 14th in 5 of the next 7 races. He also started to improve his finishes. After a 33rd place run at Dover, he returned to Richmond, site of his Cup debut, and finished 9th. He then took 13th at Michigan, 11th at Pocono, and 9th at the newly reconfigured Sears Point Raceway, where he overcame 2 spins and a near disaster in qualifying.
Foul up too much from here on out.
So far, he's had a good look. Oh, he gets it loose into the corner, but he kind of turned it down in the corner. That might not have hurt him too bad.
He's an old dirt track driver. He drove it right through there.
Yeah.
So will he knock the driver who used to drive this car out of the top 25? Kenny Irwin, top rookie candidate, is 12th quick.
These finishes lifted Irwin from 34th to 26th in the point standings. But interviews around this time revealed another troubling trend. Irwin didn't seem to have many friends in the garage area. As Kurt Cavan put it, he was, quote, a shy Hoosier who has always had money in his pocket and a fresh appearance. When asked how he was dealing with the scene in the garage area, Irwin said, not good. It's something that I'm learning. There are so many personalities with all these drivers, and all of them are nice guys, but you have to figure out how to fit in with them. I need all of these guys in the garage area to want to race with me as much as I want to race with them. That's tough, and that's going to take a long time. Hopefully I won't do much to back myself up, but that's definitely something I've got to learn. Not long before Irwin's arrival, rookies were expected to struggle, but those drivers almost never raced for top caliber teams, so the driver wasn't always to blame. Jeremy Mayfield, who in 1998 scored his first Winston Cup win after his Michael Krenefus team was absorbed into Penske Racing, explained why that made Irwin's rookie season so dangerous for his career. I was fortunate enough to go through the steps, said Mayfield. My first 2 years, if I ran good, everybody knew about it. If I ran bad, everybody would say it was normal. When you're in Kenny's situation, though, and you don't perform, it makes you look 10 times worse than you really are. I'm glad I didn't have the kind of pressure he's under. Irwin also received a mixed reception from fans. After his warm reception at Talladega just weeks earlier, he was now being heckled during a red flag at Pocono. Irwin smiled as he tried to put this in perspective. I know if I saw Kenny Irwin come in like they think I've come in from nowhere, I don't know if I'd like him either, he said. Hopefully I can stay here long enough for people to see what kind of person I am, how I care so much about racing. It didn't help when his performance started to wane again. Irwin finished 33rd at New Hampshire, where Jimmy Spencer sent him spinning into turn 1. The wreck knocked the toe out of alignment, forcing an extended stop for repairs.
Yeah, he's struggling real bad. I think he's coming in the pits as we speak. I know he was fighting the car. Yeah, he didn't look very... You can see the right front is conked out just a little bit.
Steve Burns, I know you're still there, and it's not good when the tire is waving at you as he comes in straight.
Eli, Buddy Baker hit it right on the head a minute ago when he said they had strung the car, and they're doing it again. The simplest way to put this is they're checking the alignment, and now Kenny Irwin has shut the motor off, so this is going to be a long, if not indefinite, stay for Kenny Irwin.
He then bounced off the wall in his return to Pocono, leaving him 22nd. But the race after that presented another opportunity for redemption, as on August 1st, Irwin would attempt his first Brickyard 400 at the track he'd so idolized since his youth. That's all my dad ever talked about, getting to Indy, said Irwin. Of course, we all thought it would be in an Indy car instead of a stock car. To me, getting to Indy is like a feeling of success. You've kind of arrived, made it. Both father and son had been to the track as fans, but neither had ever raced there. They'd never even taken a low-speed lap around the track in a tour bus. But ever since his signing with Yates was announced prior to the 1997 running, Irwin knew he would soon have that chance. When the deal got announced, I was like, this is where I'm going to be next August. I've been looking forward to this. For me, a lot of the excitement will be walking in and seeing my name over a garage stall, being part of all the festivities for the week. The Robert Yates Racing team spared no expense for a race where in such short time they were already yearly contenders. 2 years earlier, Dale Jarrett won his first Brickyard 400 after passing Ernie Irvin, who himself nearly won the inaugural before a tire cut down in the final laps. Bringing the number 28 to victory lane at Indy, and with a native Hoosier, was sure to be a landmark moment. To this end, Yates brought 3 different cars for Irwin to test at Indianapolis, and in them ran nearly 200 laps at speed. But even after 3 days of testing, Irwin wasn't sure he was carrying enough speed into the first corner. I was lost probably for the first day and a half, said Irwin. You tell the guys it's doing something. It's loose, it's tight. A lot of that is because you're not driving the track right. I really didn't know how the car was supposed to feel. I just wanted to feel comfortable, and I definitely feel better about it. But there's such a difference between practice and a race. You don't really get a good idea until you're out there with a bunch of other cars. The 1998 Brickyard 400 also marked Steve Park's first start since back injuries suffered in his practice crash in Atlanta. Some in the media believed Irwin was only leading the Rookie of the Year standings because of Park's injury. Others took the opportunity to reintroduce Irwin to the fans, including a profile Ryan Duvall wrote for The Republic. Duvall mentioned Irwin's basic demographics: 5'11", 165 pounds, his favorite hobbies of playing golf and pool, and that when he wasn't driving his Ford F-150, he rode a 1997 Fat Boy Harley Davidson. A later profile would report Irwin liked listening to AC/DC, his favorite actor was Burt Reynolds, and if he wasn't racing, he'd own a rental construction company. That weekend, Irwin chose not to stay in the motor coach lot. Instead, he camped in the yard of one of his friends who lived a couple blocks from the track, then rode his Harley into the speedway. Tim Stevens, who worked with Irwin during his Truck Series career at Liberty Racing, said, quote, "Kenny's a very shy, private person. The glare of Winston Cup didn't suit his personality all that well. For somebody who was so brash and aggressive on the racetrack, he was probably much more reserved and quiet off of it than people realized. He really liked being around a small group of friends, being with those people and having a good time. He didn't really care if the world loved him or not on the other side of the fence. It was nice if they did, but what he really wanted to do was focus on the job at hand and go win the race and run the best."
Well, he sits here calm and quiet on the outside, but I'm willing to bet the butterflies are zipping around on the inside. How you feel?
I feel sick. No, I'm serious.
There's an honest guy, Bill.
Just getting ready to go, I guess. Just waiting for my turn.
It's only 50 seconds, Skinny, but it's going to seem like an eternity to him. You bet. Cross the line. He's on his way. Down in turn one. Off the gas. Down on the bottom of the racetrack. Oh, he didn't get quite low enough on the racetrack, I don't think. Might have hurt him a little bit in that corner.
Kenny, of course, got a lot of experience driving the open wheel cars in Central Indiana in the United States Auto Club. He was the 1996 USAC Midget National Champion, moving then to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series last year, where he won Rookie of the Year honors, finishing 10th in points. Well, he's doing pretty good, isn't he, Benny?
We see right now that he's just a little bit slower than our pole sitter, Ernie. As a matter of fact, it's showing that he's a little bit faster. Here he comes off the corner. He makes it off the corner. Somewhere around first to third is going to be Irvin.
Boy, what a magnificent run by this young man, huh? How'd he do?
Third spot at 50.488, 178.260. The butterflies are flying away, Bill Weber.
Irwin qualified fourth, which at the time was the best start by a rookie in the Brickyard 400. This caught the attention of another Texaco-sponsored driver.
Now, what kind of advice are you giving the kid here about the aura that is Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Well, I'm not giving him much advice at all. I'm just telling him to stay slim and be able and eat a nice light breakfast and be relaxed, because I think he has a really good car and a good operation, and I know he's really found a way around here, it looks like, this time. So I'm out there cheering for him, just like I usually cheer for Michael.
Jeff Gordon said as a native Hoosier when he came here the first time, he saw success the next morning. Have you seen success for yourself tomorrow?
You know, I sure hope so. I don't know if I'm that confident in saying that, but obviously we do have a great team. Texaco, Robert Yates with the 28 and 88 has had a lot of success here, so hopefully we can carry that tradition on tomorrow.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Two of Texaco's most shining stars, the legendary Mario Andretti and the young man who will probably be a legend in our lifetime, Kenny Irwin.
On race day, Irwin had as many as 75 friends and family on hand to cheer him on. "I'm ready," he said. "I'd like to say the whole front straightaway will be there cheering for me, but it probably won't be that many." Irwin had his work cut out for him, as the three drivers who qualified ahead of him were Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, and pole sitter Ernie Irvin. This was Irvin's first pole since he left the Yates team.
Kenny Irwin is doing a pretty good job so far. He's a young man who had tears in his eyes when he completed his qualifying run here on Thursday.
Yes, I was really shocked at how emotional that Kenny became when we tried to talk to him about qualifying on the outside of the second row. And he said he started coming here when he was 6 years old with his dad, and to be able to race at this speedway and to qualify on the outside of the second row, he really was overcome with emotion.
Irwin climbed to third and remained in the top 5 for much of the afternoon. On lap 117, he had just dropped to 6th when he found trouble off turn 1.
Kenny Irwin's day is over. He has crashed between turns 1 and 2. He had just lost 5th position to Terry Labonte, and Dale Earnhardt was right behind him, got into the outside wall, sliding to a stop in the middle of turn number 2.
His problem started over in turn 1, and he stopped over in turn 2. Let's see if we can see from the blimp. There we see the 5 car going in the corner. Here comes the 28 car, and Kenny Irwin just loses control.
There was
Earnhardt got so close to him, we talked about early in the race, that he took that air off the rear spoiler, and around goes the Texaco car.
There was no contact between Earnhardt and Irwin. He just lost the downforce, and the car got around on him. Scatters some photographers right here.
Watch those guys run. I don't blame him.
Well, Kenny Irwin is trying to prepare himself to get back in the car. I know you're disappointed. A great run. What happened?
You know, the way these cars have it set up with the 5 and 5 rule, when somebody gets right up under you, it feels like they actually hit you. I don't know if that happened or not, but it definitely took all the air off the rear spoiler.
Well, that isn't exactly what happened, because there was no contact between Kenny and Dale Earnhardt.
Irwin walked away. He finished in 38th. If there was any doubt over how bitter the separation had been between Ernie Irvin and Robert Yates Racing, that was laid to rest in the following race at Watkins Glen. 1 week after they qualified 1st and 4th for the Brickyard 400, Irwin and Irvin collided while battling for 15th, stranding both in the gravel trap at turn 10. Irwin spun again as he tried to return to pit road, costing him 2 laps for a 38th place finish. It's not quite as clear why Irwin also found himself in multiple incidents with John Andretti. After a 16th place showing at Michigan, Irwin arrived at the night race at Bristol, scene of his last place finish in the spring. There, he faced another daunting challenge as he qualified 34th, pitting him behind Andretti on the backstretch. By lap 130, Irwin had climbed to 10th, though he was blocked by Andretti at least twice, dropping him to 22nd. A 2-tire stop finally gave Irwin a clear exit, and he finished in 15th. Next came the return to New Hampshire, where Irwin was bumped out of the way by Jeff Gordon. This time he climbed as high as 5th, then slipped to 11th by the checkered flag. For the Southern 500, Irwin made a bid for the pole.
He's got to go to turn 3. He goes up the and gets too high.
Looked like the left front wheel got down below the white line going into the turn and just upset the chassis of the car.
But this wreck put him 37th on the grid, where he soon lost a lap, then another. Then came Ernie Irvin.
Well, Kenny Irwin and Ernie Irvin have found each other again, and as we have said, they've had some skirmishes out there, not only today, but in previous races.
The last time we saw them, it was a 28 Kenny Irwin passing the 36 of Ernie Irvin. This time looks like the shoe is on the other foot. If Ernie can get up there and challenge.
Yeah, Ernie is a lap down in 13th, and Kenny is 2 laps down in the 18th position.
As we watch this battle,
here we go.
Johnny Benson is on pit road, and Ernie goes by pretty clean that time.
Irwin still clawed his way to 16th, only for the oil pump to fail, putting him out in a distant 41st. Back at Richmond, Irwin again had to rally from a 36th place starting spot, and even led his first lap since his near victory in Atlanta. But contact with Andretti pushed in Irwin's right front fender, forcing a pit stop that dropped him from 6th to 10th at the finish. At Dover, Irwin qualified 12th and was still running 14th on lap 170 when...
Already sideways, Andretti and LePage right behind the boy, right on the driver's side.
Yeah, and across the racetrack, that's at 9 degrees I was talking about, into the inside wall, still with the driver's side.
Tough to tell whether he had any help, but nevertheless, tough two-wall ride.
After slamming both walls with the driver's side, Irwin walked away with a sore back, only to 1 week later endure one of the hottest races ever run at Martinsville. There, Irwin broke loose off turn 4 and slammed the outside wall, knocking out a crush panel. He didn't draw the caution as he limped onto pit road. Not long after, the day's last-place finisher, Kenny Wallace, was standing by in the Texaco pit, just as he had after Ernie Irvin's injury 4 years earlier.
He came over to talk to Ricky Rudd about getting in that car, and this is 180 laps into the race.
Kenny came over during that caution, and Kenny Wallace is now in the 28 car.
And they're cooling him down there on pit road in the shade. What a day it is. And there's Kenny Irwin. We saw him prone on the ground a few moments ago, but he looks like he's up and around, right, John?
Yeah, right now he's going over to the infield care center to be checked out. They have administered oxygen to him while he sat here in the shade of the pit area, and also a lot of towels that have been doused in ice water just trying to cool him down. But he looks a lot better right now as he walks over to the care center than he did when I first saw him after he got out of the race car.
As Irwin recovered, Wallace also spun, then brought the car home in 27th.
This weekend will be no exception. Let's take you back to Bristol, August 22nd, as Dale Jarrett brought the crowd to their feet as he unveiled his number 88 Batman car. But he was not to be outdone. His nemesis, the Joker, came on in the rival car, if you will, the 28 car.
Next came Charlotte, where Irwin's bid to bounce back from his DNQ in May happened to coincide with the Yates team's massive one-race sponsorship deal with DC Comics. Unveiled at Bristol in August, this was the Batman vs. Joker promotion, where Dale Jarrett ran a Dark Knight paint scheme alongside Irwin as the Clown Prince of Crime. Humpy Wheeler and the Charlotte Motor Speedway went all in on the crossover, featuring one of the Earth's Jokers interrupting Darrell Waltrip's interview, then a stunt show in the infield.
It was the Joker who sent in his henchmen to try and disrupt the race. All kinds of mayhem being thrown all about the speedway. Some sort of strange, mysterious gas being used. So here came the Cape Crusader riding in to save the day. He took on the Joker. A tremendous battle ensued. The Batman, the Joker, they went at it for about 20 minutes here this morning before Batman finally won out. The big spill by the Joker. And finally, our hero, the Cape Crusader, subdues the evil villain and removes him from the premises.
This time, Irwin qualified 10th ahead of Jarrett in 17th. Irwin picked up minor damage when he went to the apron during this massive pileup on lap 201, but still salvaged a 20th place finish.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like the guys have done a good job today and got me qualified up front. Now it's my job to keep it up front, and hopefully if we just stay in line, we can do that.
Best of luck to Kenny Irwin. That team spent a lot of time in the wind tunnel getting ready for this race.
Back-to-back super speedways awaited, starting with Talladega, where Irwin qualified 7th. But incredibly, it was again a bad Yates engine that sent him to the tail end of the field.
He said the car had gotten worse and worse. They were down to about 5,700 RPMs. He said the oil pressure had dropped down to about 30 to 35 pounds. The car had sounded more and more sour coming by and was getting slower and slower. Now on pit road, he's trying to rev the engine. They have the hood up. They are looking over at the right side of the engine where the plug wires and some of the ignition are. They have taken a piece of chalk and they are marking the exhaust ports. They can tell by the temperature and the melting there which cylinder may not be firing. Robert, we saw a spark plug push completely shut. You took the rocker cover off. What'd you find?
Yeah, that's, we've lost the head of an intake valve, broken the stem, and it's done enough damage to the lower end that we can't really repair it. And we just end up going out blowing up and maybe running somebody else's day. So we get ready for Daytona.
This time it was a valve spring, which put Irwin in last place for the second time in 1998. The next week in Daytona, Irwin was again fast in qualifying, taking 11th. In the race, he quickly overcame a flat tire and worked his way to the front.
So again, Kenny Irwin is very happy with this race car. In fact, Eli, they've been trying to keep him calmed down.
Kenny Irwin running 7th right now.
With 52 laps to go, he was leading.
Remarkable run by Kenny Irwin, rookie, 1998. Has finished at Talladega either race, an engine failure at both. And here he is leading at Daytona.
What a weird year for Kenny Irwin. I mean, this is the first race at Charlotte. Has a great run the second time around with the first speed down the stretch.
Goes to Atlanta and looks like he may win the race there until right near the end of the race. Had a pit stop to put him back, but right up front all day long.
Then last week he runs a handful of laps. That's all at Talladega. And now here he is late in the evening.
These guys are starting to use their buddy system a little bit.
Let's see what happens here. Schrader's thinking about doing something.
Whoa!
He'll grab second. Burton's out of line.
How about
will be bypassed by his brother also.
How about first? Look at Schrader on the high side there, and right behind him Ward Burton. Down on the bottom side, you can see the team cars of Rusty Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield.
Middle of that pack near the back, 3 wide as they come to the stripe. Irwin again by inches. Irwin by inches at the stripe.
Irwin led for 15 laps until Jeff Gordon made the winning pass with 38 to go. Shortly after, Irwin crossed the nose of Chad Little and crashed on the backstretch, leaving him in 32nd.
You know, he made his move to get up. There wasn't enough room there, so something we learned. We'll be better next time. But we had a good car, a great car.
I don't know if we had a winning car, but we definitely had a top running car. We had to lead some laps, and then we cut a left rear tire down and had to pit. But, it's fun running up front. It's just too bad we got in that altercation off of 2.
What happened?
I just thought I was clear and moved up, and I just didn't give the 97 anywhere to go. And I'm real sorry for everybody that got involved in that deal.
At Phoenix, Irwin made what would become his 32nd and final Truck Series start, finishing 20th in a one-off for Jim Smith. It seemed to help on the Winston Cup side, where Irwin ranked 5th in practice and qualified outside pole. This was a difficult race for teammate Dale Jarrett, who was suffering from gallstones and had to be relieved by Michael Waltrip at the 1/3 mark. At the time, Irwin was battling in the top 10, but he lost ground through the next round of pit stops. On lap 182, he slowed down the backstretch from what the team thought was a carburetor problem. This turned out to be an electrical issue, one which cost him 10 laps for a 40th place finish. He then finished 33rd at Rockingham, where he nearly wrecked again.
In the middle here.
My God.
That's why they put 1 coat of paint on these cars.
I think he thought he was back in the midgets again when he made that move.
He meant to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Through these final weeks of the season, Robert Yates became more vocal about how disappointing Irwin's season had been. Though mechanical issues were just as much to blame for several poor finishes, it was alleged that Irwin wasn't focusing enough on his racing. The driver responded, saying, quote, "What gets me is that I felt like everybody thought maybe he's a huge partier. He goes and does whatever. It's just that I like to go out. I still think I can do that, just not as frequent maybe. I'll still walk through Talladega, see what everybody is doing. I like hanging out with people you don't know. I enjoy that. If I was married and had 2 kids, I wouldn't have any problem giving that up. It's a perception of how people see me, and I can determine the perception I'm giving off. I can change that or not." It was even said that Irwin would be out of the ride. Irwin didn't respond to these rumors at first, then said in November, quote, "I've learned a lot this year about what gets said and what doesn't. Me and Robert Yates have a very good relationship, and it's going to stay that way." The season finale came in Atlanta, site of what was easily Irwin's best race of the entire year back in March. But the car bottomed out hard in practice, leaving him well down in the rankings. Slugger Labby made an adjustment, then put his driver on track for qualifying.
Kenny Irwin is on the racetrack.
And he's got a good lap going, Bob. Very good lap going into turn 3. Could be threatening for the pole. Let's see. Don't forget. Oh, yeah, he's got it. This guy runs so good here at this racetrack. Remember Reckless Spring ran so well? Check it out. By 0.2 of a second. 28.657, 193.461. Now he's got to be concerned about his teammate, DJ.
In the final race of the season and his rookie campaign, Irwin earned his first career pole locking him into the next year's Bud Shootout at Daytona.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. That was great. A few weeks ago in Phoenix, me and Slugger thought we were going to get the pole out there, and we come up a little short. But I mean, the whole team did a great job and give us great motors, great car. And that's what it's all about.
And this is a great opportunity for you at a track where you run well to pace this field to the green flag Sunday.
I hope so, and hopefully we can pace it all day long. I think we got a good setup here, and I mean, I just hopefully we can just keep it up front.
And it means a lot in other ways. It's a sense of accomplishment for you and your team. It puts you in the Bud Shootout. It's the last race of the year. It helps you build a lot of momentum in a season where it has been a battle at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a roller coaster all year long, and I mean, this definitely can't hurt. It's what we all needed. You know, it's just too bad it just didn't happen earlier, and you know, you could get that rolling. You know, so to have more momentum going into '99.
You have to work harder in Daytona now because you're in the shootout. You got to take a second car. That doesn't bother you, does it?
I don't, unless it bothers Slugger here. No, I think it's a good deal. I mean, I'm just glad that we're on the pole, and I think that you know, we're just looking good, hopefully, for the race.
Irwin led only the opening lap of Sunday's race. By the time it was over late that night, he'd finished in 16th. Irwin had won Rookie of the Year with a 28th place finish in points. It was enough to keep him in the car for the second year of his 3-year contract. Next week, the conclusion of the story of Kenny Irwin Jr. Patreon members $5 and up can watch it right now at patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock. Until then, thank you for watching.
Exists a sport that is driven by the fans. They are why everyone works so hard, on the teams and at the tracks, in front of the grandstands and behind the scenes, to give the fans the greatest race possible. NASCAR fans deserve the best, starting from the high banks of Daytona, all the way to the shores of California, and at every race in between. NASCAR fans, you're the reason for our success. Thanks.